So, Coach 2 weekends ago had MAC championship race, of course. Didn't go exactly the way you guys wanted. Second on the men's side in an extremely close race. Third on the women's side. Did have a few standout runners. Can you just talk about that weekend as a whole and your thoughts on it?
Sure. It was a strange weekend, but it was a true cross-country weekend. We showed up in DeKalb, Illinois, and there was snow on the ground, and it was raining, and it was muddy, and we knew that there was a good chance this was going to be a very messy race, and that always those conditions always present a new challenge because some athletes thrive in that and they do really well, whereas others really kind of crumble underneath the conditions. And we woke up the next day, race day, to great conditions. The course was not near as muddy as we thought it was going to be, and so it really plays with your emotions a little bit. Like on one hand, you're getting all ready for a dogfight in the mud. On the other hand, you're getting ready for a basic fast race and with solid ground under your feet. And I think what happened is we got out there, and some of the athletes rose to the occasion and others didn't. And we walked away, all in all, the whole theme of the weekend, I think we walked away a little disappointed, but it was also really nice to see that we did have that second place finish and that third place finish. And you know, we're still one of the top teams in the MAC ultimately, but we know that there's a lot more that we wanted.
Yeah, and of course, this weekend coming up is a great chance to prove just what you guys are capable of. Huge race, obviously, Great Lakes Regional up in Wisconsin. You might be looking at similar conditions depending on how the weather plays out. How are you preparing for that aspect of it, since it was such a big deal at MAX?
Yeah, it's going to be cold. There most likely will be snow on the edges. I'm sure they'll clear the ground. The footing will be just fine. I think it'll be cross-country winter weather, and you know, we do get another chance to compete against Eastern Michigan and Toledo. Northern Illinois is in a different region, so we won't see them. But it does give us a chance to get out there and maybe seek a little bit of redemption. I mean, hands down, I think we're a better team than Eastern Michigan on the men's side. I think us at our best for the women, I think that we give them a really good fight. And when you look at the regional rankings, I think we were 9th for the men and the women going into the regional meet. If we show up in full force, and I think that's been the question all season, if we show up in full force, our men have a chance to go beat Eastern Michigan, we'll beat Akron again. We can maybe take down one of the Big Ten teams that is not quite as good as Wisconsin or Indiana. Those are two very strong teams, but Notre Dame's looking like they have some weaknesses. If we show up and we go do it, we can take it to them, and we can go mix it up with those teams and see how we end up at the end of the race. The women, it's the same thing. We can go out there and we can really contend with Eastern Michigan. I think we're a deeper team, and in a bigger race like this, I think we can end up doing really well, and we should end up kind of in a dogfight with them again and hopefully take down some other teams along the way.
Yeah, so how do you think the players themselves, the runners, have reacted mentally after last weekend? Obviously, they were just as disappointed as you and the rest of the coaching staff were, but how well do you think they're seizing the opportunity that they still have in front of them, and how do you think they'll be able to do just what you said about, you know, putting the disappointment behind you and coming to show up this weekend?
That's a good question. That's one of the hardest things to do, is to come back off of a disappointing weekend and then show up and seek redemption. You know, how can you individually be an athlete that shows up and says, I know that I'm better, I can do better? I mean, ultimately, we needed to be in front of that race at the conference meet for the men, and we ended up in a dogfight in the finish line chute, and it was, I think that's when you start to feel a little bit of panic, and I think that with the 10,000 meters, I think we've got athletes that caters to them a little bit more, so we add two more K on the race. And I think that gives us a little more confidence. If they go into this race, both men and women, feeling like there's still work to be done and we can show up and do something fantastic for ourselves and for the program and where we're going next year, I think that we're going to be happy with the result. And that's what I'm pushing. Like, show up individually, do what you're capable of doing, represent your fitness. We talk about that a lot. And then just get rid of all the other stuff that tears you down, and I think we're going to be happy with the result.
All right, Coach, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
So, Claire, you put together a really strong performance at the MAC Championship 2 weeks ago. Obviously, as a team, you finished third, but you were one of Miami's standouts from an individual level, taking second team All-MAC. Can you sort of discuss your mindset about that race and what made you so successful?
Yeah, Obviously, we were going into it with the team mindset, team goal of just placing as best as we could in the race. And that was really kind of my mindset going into it, just doing as best as I could for the team. And that means doing as best as we can as individuals. So that was kind of the goal there and what kind of motivated me for that race specifically. The conditions were a little rough, but it was kind of something that played to my favor with how it worked out. So,
Yeah, and of course, on Friday, you're going to get a chance to sort of continue that success at Great Lakes Regional. Obviously, a very important meet. You're going to see a lot of the same MAC teams there, as well as some other, really strong national programs. What are you feeling, and what's the team feeling going into that meet on Friday?
I think it's just a sense of excitement. The pressure is not really on. We're not really setting any crazy expectations. We're just going into it kind of seeing what we can do and how we can perform, maybe even improve our standing among the MAC teams there. Obviously, it's a larger field. There's more runners, so placing as many runners as we can between us and the other MAC teams.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Anthony had a strong performance at the MAC Championship 2 weekends ago. You took home second team All-MAC as an individual, as the team took second place. You also improved a lot from where you were last year as a freshman to this year as one of the team's top scorers. So can you just talk about that meet a little bit and what your thoughts are on it?
Mm-hmm. Going into the meet, we didn't necessarily have the expectation of winning, but we knew that if we did what we were capable of, then we would be pretty happy with the results. And that didn't necessarily turn out how we wanted it to. But there were some good things to take away from the meet. But at the end of the day, I mean, we all aren't too happy with it. We all feel like we could have done better individually. So, I mean, we're just looking to improve upon it this coming Friday.
Yeah, and you'll have a great chance to do just that. You're going to see a lot of the same MAC teams again that you were just in a battle with last weekend. Also on a bit of a different setting, as you're going to be running a 10K course instead of 8K. How do you think that's played into your training at all, and how do you think the team is going to respond to that in such a competitive meet?
Yeah, a lot of us haven't run a 10K before, so it'll be interesting to see. Halfway through the season, we started doing more workouts that were geared towards the longer race. So it might play to our strength. I mean, in races, we typically close stronger than other teams, so the extra 2K might very well make us do even better than we've done in the past. So, I mean, I think we'll be looking to hopefully make a strong push towards the end and see if we can, I mean, surprise some teams and maybe, I don't know, be pretty happy with the results and see if we can, I mean, beat Eastern, beat Butler, beat some other teams that we've been looking at, and maybe we'll end up making nationals. So.
All right, thank you. Good luck.